Hello everybody, how are y'all doing? It's Katie here, the Mountain Mystic, and I'm so happy to be here with you today for a video. This is a fun video, this is an important video. This is actually a video that I'm bringing you today to, shall we say, kick off a whole series of videos focused on New Earth Embodiment, the embodied path. Two different phrases I'm using to speak to the same thing, this embodied spirituality, this earthy spirituality, a grounded spirituality, a spiritual path that allows us to be in connection to self, connection to that which expands beyond self, a spirituality that really guides us to be in connection to our humanity, to our earthly nature, to nature herself. In this video, what I want to do is sort of kickstart what I'm seeing as a new series. We've been in this space for a while now. I've been creating videos focused on this space for the last couple years. Lately, I've been creating a lot of practice-centered videos. So much of what we do here is practice, right? It's embodied. This isn't a space where we focus on the mind, right? A lot of knowledge and understanding. Yes, while that's an important part of it all, our focus here is on embodiment. It's focused on experience. And what that means, what that asks, what that demands of us is that we be in practice. And we get to be in practice here in this focused, intentional space, a space where we can kind of distance ourselves from the world, from the challenges we are facing. We're not directly in it. We can sort of distance ourselves and be in practice so that when we go out into the world, we can continue to be in practice and actually do the thing that we are here to do, so that we can heal what is ready to be healed, so that we can solve the problems that are ready to be solved, so that we can call more light into the spaces that are ready for more light. Otherwise, bring forth the transformation that this world is ready for. And that's what we are here to do. We are here to become present, which is a practice, which is a process, right? This ability to call in more and more presence to every moment we find ourselves in life. And in doing so, become better able to make better decisions and to otherwise show up for life, to move forward, again, to heal, to transform in more skillful ways. Okay. Some words to sort of summarize what it is we're doing here in case you're new or in case you needed a refresher, right? We're always needing refreshers when it comes to the spaces we find ourselves in. And once again, naming here this sort of body of work that we're doing, this new earth embodiment, this embodied path that we are walking. Maybe the phrasing resonates with you, maybe it doesn't. That part doesn't matter so much. The part that matters is what we are here doing. What we are here doing is learning to be more skillful. As the human being that each of you are, we are here learning to be more skillful so that we can be more skillful in relation to self, and so that we can be more skillful in relation to all of life that expands beyond self. This is a space that is fully devoted to our own sovereign individual selves and to all of life that expands beyond self. This is not an either or space. This is a both and space. This is a space where we get to be in all of it, because that is the truth and reality of this world, is that we are interconnected. As biological beings, as spiritual beings, we are all interconnected. That's the way it is. And we, as humans, can tell ourselves narratives of separation, that we are separate from nature, that we are separate from one another, leaning into that further, that we are superior to nature, that groups of people are superior to others. And we can tell ourselves these narratives, but they're false, right? They're false because in truth, we are all interconnected. We are all part of an interconnected web of life. We can call this web of life nature. And we are here to learn to skillfully be part of it in a way that serves our own individual sovereign selves, because each of us matters, because you matter. Your joy, your happiness, your fulfillment, it matters. And all of life matters. And if you have, any issue with that statement, right, that this is a moment to kind of lean into that and, get curious. Wow, what's that about? If you're wholeheartedly yes, in agreement, then you are absolutely in the right place. If you are not wholeheartedly in agreement, you're still in the right space. We are all here learning, healing, transforming in a way, once again, that serves our own individual selves, and that serves the collective. And again, naming that this space is always a both and. We are always, always, always working in the highest that serves the individual and serves the collective. Of course, it doesn't always feel that way, doesn't always seem that way, but this is the work we're doing. This is the work we are doing. We are co-creating that new Earth, that way of being on planet Earth, where we rise up as one web of life. We are rising up as one web of life, lifting our own selves up as we lift up all others. And in those moments when we find ourselves pushing others down to lift ourselves up, or bringing ourselves down because we think that's lifting someone else up, that's when we know we're out of alignment, right? That's one cue that tells us we're out of alignment. Anyway, getting into some weeds here. Bringing a sort of overview for you today in this video, because I wanted to really initiate a series of videos that are focused on what we might speak to the principles underlying this framework, right? This spirituality that me, myself, Katie, the mountain mystic, is here teaching. It is one that is not my own, but is also my own. It is one that, is stitched together through my formal teachings, my formal trainings, as a yoga teacher, right? A depth of formal training in yoga, a depth of devotion to yoga, a formal training, a formal priestess training. So much of what I teach comes from that space, as well as my own, shall I call it, eclectic studies of what I really try to hold space for as all the world's spiritualities, those that are freely given to me, those that I am free to learn about and practice, from Buddhism, kind of a space I started in. I'm absolutely not a practicing Buddhist, but it's a space that was sort of my doorway into spirituality, and certainly serves a lot of what I do, I practice, and I teach, especially in the form of mindfulness. Right, we all know about mindfulness these days. And moving over into yoga and Hindu tradition and tantric tradition. Right, there's a lot of overlap there, but there's a lot of distinctions there as well. And moving over into the Western world, deep dives into Stoicism and other traditions, right? Again, really as someone who is, calling herself a spiritual teacher these days, embodying the spiritual teacher, or holding space for, a study and understanding of all the world's traditions, and holding a lot of space for that underlying root system. Okay, you have spiritual traditions around the world, and yes, in so many ways they're different, right? This is why we fight wars, because spiritualities, religions are different. But beneath it all, right, there's a heart, there's a soul, there's a truth that emerges through many, if not most, of the world's spiritualities. And this is the space that I'm interested in, right? This is the space that I'm interested in. Why Indigenous people in North America and Indigenous people on the continent of India, right, are learning and cultivating traditions, spiritualities that, yes, have different stories, yes, have different specific versions, but underneath it, right, underneath it is an underlying truth, and how these have sprouted up around the globe, spanning the past thousands of years, right? And what's that common thread? What's that common thread? And that's what I'm here to teach. And that's what I believe is emerging in full force. And that is, to a large degree, what I speak to as New Earth, right? New Earth as a space where we are leaning into connection. We are done with the ways we are separate in a way that makes us think one is superior to another. Yes, we can be sovereign individuals and have differences. And that's a beautiful part of the web, right? But what are the commonalities and the ways that matter? This, again, is, one of the characteristics that I can speak to as New Earth. New Earth is a space where we're no longer fighting amongst each other who's right and who's wrong when it comes to beliefs. We can hold space for what those underlying truths are. And we can do it because we've done the work. Right? The work is the path that enables us to do this. Because when we do the work, we are able to see clearly. We are no longer blinded by the beliefs, the prejudices that were handed to us. We can see through them, and we can know truth. We can know reality. And the reason I believe that we are at a time where this vision of New Earth, right? It's not my own, it's an old vision. I believe it first came through in the Bible. The Bible speaks to New Earth. I know for me it was Eckhart Tolle who made it kind of present and loud in today's world. This vision of New Earth is now possible because we have all these amazing tools. We have technologies that allow us to see with our own eyes what is happening around the world. We are no longer victims of the stories and prejudices and belief systems that are put on top of us. For a long time, humans lived in the dark. And all they had was the stories they were told, and they were told to believe them, right? Now we live in a time where it is so much easier. I speak to this all the time, right? We live in a time of this abundance of information. If you want to know something, the type of your fingers, click of a button, you can ask your phone a question, and you can have an answer. You can have eyes around the world. You can hear voices from around the world. Right? It is a time where technology has enabled us to be interconnected in a way that's never happened before. And because of this, there's no longer any reason for the lies and the bullshit to continue to be propagated the way it has for thousands of years. We have eyes to see, and we can see what is true. We have ears to hear, we can hear what is true. We have these incredible brains of ours that allow us to think and to analyze and to sort out reality from fiction. And we have an abundance of spiritual tools because peoples from around the globe have spent thousands of years developing spiritual tools that are here to help us navigate through it all, to cultivate discernment, to be able to understand to the best of our ability what is unfolding in the moment, and to take skillful action from there. We have endless lists of healing modalities. Oh my God, how many people are teaching their healing modalities on the internet right now? We are swimming in an overabundance of healing modalities. How many tools do we have to develop presence? Mindfulness meditation, right? Being a powerful one. But on top of that, how many tools, how many teachings do we have to become present? The point here being, once again, we live in a time of abundance, of information abundance. If you are seeking something, a path, a teaching, a practice, there is one for your need, and you have access to it. The question, the task of our time is how we navigate through it all. And this is what I speak to as the embodied path. A path that leads us forward through it all. With increasing skill, we are cultivating the skill that is walking through it all. With greater presence, with higher discernment, learning to walk more skillfully, more radiantly, embodying more joy, experiencing deeper fulfillment, sharing more love, doing all those things as we walk each step through it all. So this is the embodied path. This is the path that is taking us right into New Earth, a space that is not some etheric, everlasting love and light-filled space somewhere far off in the future, but is actually here and now, is already present, actively being co-created here on Earth now. And you get to be a part of it. You get to be part of the generation that is calling this in and that is calling it in powerfully. And the way that you get to do it is starting by being a stand as someone who is done with the old. That's a powerful sign that you are already walking the path, is you are someone who will not tolerate, you cannot stand the old. So when you see someone in your life, or you see someone on the news, or you witness within your own self those old, outdated, toxic patterns, right? Whether it's a behavior, whether it's a choice of words, whether it's an energy being emitted. When you see someone out in the world, when you witness it in yourself, that this is unfolding, you can witness it and you can be a stand to be done with it. That doesn't mean you have it all figured out for what to do instead, but we're here learning and we are here co-creating as we learn, as we embody, and as we make the world anew. Whew, big breath after that one. It's taking a few moments to breathe that in. Calling upon your breath to center in self, maybe noticing of what's lit up in self. As mentioned, I'm recording this video today because I have every intention to bring to you a new series of videos that are more coming from a teaching perspective. Again, we've really been in a space of practice, of me bringing practice-centered videos, where in those videos I will kind of go into channel mode and bring through whatever is here to be shared. And I love those videos. I will continue to make those videos. Those videos more so kind of bring us all over the place and are more directed on sort of what serves the moment. What this new series of videos is comes with an intention and a plan to have more structure, to go through sort of each principle in each practice and explore different traditions that sort of have served the foundation for what it is I teach. I'm part of the inspiration for this series is I am actively working on writing my book. This is a book I've spoken to before. I've already spent years writing it, but right now I am in a time of deep focus. The book's really coming together, and what it's asking of me is that I go back to, the books I was reading in my early 20s and my own beginnings of my own spiritual awakenings, and sort of read the literature, revisit the teachings, so that I can speak to them from the space I'm at today, and also speak to them from the space I was at then, and how, my reading of mindfulness, shaped who, it was a Jack Kornfield book, Mindfulness, super powerful, almost like a textbook sort of book on mindfulness as it comes from Buddhism and Vipassana meditation. How that shaped who I was as a spiritually naive, 20-year-old studying science and engineering, right? And rereading that book now as a formally trained priestess, and how it shaped me at each level, and sort of speaking to things in different ways. And as I'm writing the book, I want to be able to bring pieces of it to you here and now. So that's, part of the grand plan here is so that I can really dive deep, work on a synthesis of all of it in the form of a book, but also bring it to you here on YouTube so we can share in it in the here and now. Taking another deep breath, just allowing that all to settle. Sharing a lot of words here, which is something I don't often do. I mean, words in ratio to practice, right? Usually we're here doing a lot of practice. And, if practice is speaking to you, if you're like, oh my gosh, yes, let me dive in. We've, again, got a long, long list of practice. I have a long list of practice here on YouTube. You can go to my website, upwardslopes.com, and you can go find The Forest, which is our membership program. And you enter The Forest, you get access to the library, and the library is a space with more practices than you could ever need. It is a space that you can enter into, kind of pull from the practices that are speaking to you each day. And of course, there is one of my favorite, if not my most favorite, way to join in practice is to join us in Circle in our New Earth Embodiment and Priestesses of a New Earth circles. I know it's called Priestesses of a New Earth. It started out as an all-women circle, but as of now, circles are open to all, regardless of gender. If you are human, you are heart-centered, and you are walking through life with the intention to be in service to the whole, to this earth, then you are someone who is absolutely invited to Circle. So visit upwardslopes.com/circle to learn more about that. Send me a message, send me an email, let me know you're interested. Okay. Taking a deep breath, turning inward as you find yourself grounded, centered on the earth beneath you. Even if you're inside, which we are most of the time, you can find that earth beneath you. You can take those deep breaths into self as you ground into self, ground into your own body, ground into that earth beneath you. From this space, we'll close down today. I thank you so much for listening to this video. It's a lot of information, sharing a lot of different kind of words pointing to this space. I look forward to catching you in the next video where we're going to start diving into some specific topics. We're going to speak to grounding, we're going to speak to centering, we're going to speak to being in service, that sacred activism or that embodied activism. We're going to go explore different traditions from Buddhism to Tantra to yoga, Stoicism, different traditions and how they relate, how they offer practices for this shared space, this New Earth Embodiment space. Okay. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Make sure you've hit that like button, that subscribe button. It helps me, it helps our whole community. And of course, if you're subscribed and turn on those notifications, it helps you as well so that you know when those next videos are released. Alrighty, y'all. Look forward to seeing you then.